Some people failed not because they aimed too high and missed, but because they aimed too low and hit. Les Brown. Thomas Edison said, if we all did the things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. It is that we are powerful beyond measure. Marianne Williamson. Les Brown was told that he was academically, mentally retarded as a young child. He went on to become one of the most successful speakers of his time. Thomas Edison only had 3 months of formal education. He was kicked out of school by his teacher. His mom was told he is unable to learn. He went on to start a company that is still in existence today, General Electric. He still holds more patents than anybody else. Marianne Williamson was told by her family members, you're weird, nobody likes you, it's like you have a virus. She said she wanted to jump out of her own skin. She felt so odd. She went on to write 3 New York Times #1 bestsellers. When our outside changes, that which is on our inside changes. So do you believe Thomas Edison when he says that we hold ourselves back from accomplishing what we are truly capable of? Why do you think that is? What stops us from our true potential? It is the demons. The demons always seem like they are exterior. The economy, the competition, not enough money, not enough time, the customers are wrong. But the demons are not outside of us. It is the justification and the rationalizing in our head. See, we are biologically geared to stay the same, even when we want the change, even when the change is obviously beneficial. We have to fight our own resistance to it. You may remember from biology that our body stays in a homeostasis state. By definition, that means staying the same. This doesn't work to our advantage because in order to achieve a higher level, we got to grow. We are always in one of 2 modes. Either growth mode, where we don't see any danger, so we're opening ourselves up to opportunities, or defense mode. So we can't be on guard without blocking out opportunities. Growth mode and defense mode. These are 2 different directions. We can't do both at the same time. You can't run forward and backwards at the same time. We're either in growth mode or defense mode, and it's a decision. I want to talk about somebody that achieved huge accomplishments in spite of 2 disabilities, 2 barriers and obstacles that this person had to go up against. Up in my office for years, I had posted an article, and 3 pages of it were the accomplishments that this person achieved. The first 2 sentences were the barriers and obstacles that she had to overcome. Helen Keller. 2 small little things, no sight and no hearing. What did she accomplish in her life? She was a published author of The Story of My Life, The World I Live In, Teacher, and Out of the Darkness. She graduated from Radcliffe College, toured the world giving lectures, and did vaudeville appearances for over 2,000 a week. She improved the effectiveness of the American Foundation for the Blind and raised money for blind people. She started charities that are still in existence today. She met King George, Queen Mary, and every U.S. president of her time. She visited Japan, Australia, South America, Europe, and Africa. She raised money for the American Foundation for the Overseas Blind. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Lyndon Johnson. She received more honors than can even be mentioned here. She was elected to the Women's Hall of Fame. No sight and no hearing. How did she do it? Can we apply the same principles to our own lives and our own business to achieve those types of results? This is how she did it. She didn't wake up, lay in bed, thinking, I don't have sight and hearing. She never focused on the barriers and obstacles. She focused on her goals 100% of the time. She woke up and had something to get done, and she didn't focus on what could prevent her. It isn't the barrier that stops us. It is the demons. Beat the demons and you will abolish the barriers and obstacles. Commitment is something that we think we give to somebody else. I'm committed to my job. I'm committed to my family. But commitment is not something that's outside of us. It's something that's inside of us. You've noticed times in your life that you were really committed to something and the barriers and obstacles arose and you bashed right through it. Other times you weren't so committed. Something small arises and it stops you. Commitment is an inner power inside all of us that we can use to overcome that justification and rationalizing that seems to stop us. Always have commitment before ego. Like any recipe, if one ingredient is missing, the whole outcome will change. We're going to combine the inner game with technical sales training. But it's not so much how to sell, it's more why people do what they do. The majority of sales books in the bookstore sound great, but are not real-world applicable because they are based on the notion that prospects are going to analyze your information and then make a decision to buy your product based on that information. We are in the information age. There is way too much information for people to analyze all day long and make decisions on. So they've come up with shortcuts to the decision-making process. These shortcuts run their lives. When you present your products and services to them, they have already been using these shortcuts to help them make decisions all day long. They're not going to stop using these shortcuts and make a decision based on your logical information. They are going to keep using these shortcuts to make a decision on your product. You have to know what these shortcuts are. I'm just going to go through a few of these really quick. And one of the most powerful ones is number one, everybody does what everybody else is doing. This one's so powerful that all of us have used it probably 100 times today before we even got to the office. We used it when we woke up and we're getting ourselves dressed, driving down the road, watching where other people are going, in the elevator, the conversations they're having. Try next time you're at church or a concert when everybody else gets up to do a standing ovation. Try to be the only one sitting down. It'll be difficult. You'll be sitting there saying, I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to get up. Then you're going to find yourself standing, applauding like everybody else. When you did that, did you do it because the band was that good? No. Everybody else was doing it. Or next time you're hearing a band play, try to be the only person to get up and do a standing ovation. It'll feel uncomfortable. I want to talk about congruency. Once a position is stated, that person will hold to that position and be congruent regardless of a change of circumstances. If somebody states right off the bat that they are energy efficient and they want to save energy, the decisions that they'll make in that conversation will be congruent to being energy efficient. If somebody states that they conserve water, they'll stay congruent to that with subsequent decisions. This is absolutely huge to tee up right up front the close and the end. Remember in sales, a tough close or a bad close is always because of a bad opening. Number 5, relativity. What matters more than the price is what they are comparing the price to in their head. If you don't give them something else to compare the price to, they will mentally compare it to the competition. Again, the price doesn't matter. It's what they're comparing the price to in their head. And we can control, to some extent, what they're comparing that price to. Number 8, expensive equals good. Don't be afraid of stating a high price. The moment you say your product is very inexpensive, you are subconsciously saying that your product is not good. This is simply just one of the principles that people are using to help them survive in an information overload world. They don't have time to analyze every single thing, so they come up with shortcuts to determine if it's good or bad, and one of those shortcuts is expensive is good. So these are just some of the shortcuts that people are using to make decisions all day long, and they'll use these shortcuts in regards to your product. So on your next sales call, I want to tell you how to use number 1, everybody will do whatever everybody else is doing in order to move that client forward. If you're talking to the client and it's something that you want the client to do, use the words everybody, most people. If it's something you don't want them to do, nobody chooses that. Hardly anybody chooses that. We can navigate an entire conversation with this and be more influential without ever being pushy and proddy. I see so many people doing exactly the opposite of this. They'll tell a client, yeah, nobody ever chooses that high quality product because it's expensive, but it really is the best choice. They're subconsciously telling that person in their gut not to buy it. Nobody chooses it. Be conscious of what we're prefacing when we're talking about our products and services and the choices that our customers have. My name's Dan Bowe with Turn It All Up. Our peak performance exercises have been seen on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Janice Dickinson Show, and MTV 3 different times. These peak performance activities challenge us to give our best. Let's go sell something.